Any of you ever been on a job interview before? They're fun, aren't they? Well, over the last 20 years, I have interviewed well over 40,000 job seekers for open positions. And in all of that time, only one of them has ever moved me to tears. I'd like to tell you about Simone. Surrounded by the four walls of my small office in Elizabeth, New Jersey, Simone sat across from me with only my desk separating us. I kept very few items on my desk during interviews. Some college swag, a family photo, and a box of tissues, which was usually reserved for sneezes or the occasional undiscarded chewing gum. The whole room smelled like vanilla, thanks to a plug-in air freshener I had bought because I'd read somewhere that vanilla had a relaxing effect. And it wasn't working. No, I could tell that Simone was nervous, like thousands of interviewees before her. Simone really wanted this job, and she knew how much was riding on the conversation that she and I would have over the course of the next hour. I asked her my standard opening questions. How'd you learn about this job? Why'd you decide to apply? What research did you do on the company? After a very pleasant initial conversation, I started to scan Simone's resume, and I felt her tense up a little bit. We'd reached a topic that I think Simone had been dreading. Cumulative GPA 2.5. I was pretty confident that number had already presented some barriers to Simone's job search, but I needed to know the story behind it. So I phrased my next questions delicately. Simone told me about her journey and the challenges that she faced as a youth. Simone was a first-generation college graduate. Her mother was a single mom who worked multiple jobs and long hours to keep a roof over their heads and to keep food on the table. High school hadn't come easily for Simone by any stretch of the imagination, but she had performed well academically, and inspired by her mother's perseverance, Simone applied for and got into college with support from the Educational Opportunity Fund, or the EOF program, which helps students from socioeconomically disadvantaged backgrounds achieve the college dream. Despite never having had a mentor before in her life, Simone became the first member of her family to attend college. Simone was excited. But Simone's mother, she could not contain her excitement. No. She told everybody she could. She told family. She told friends. And in one case, she even told a group of complete strangers in the checkout line of their local supermarket 6 very simple, very powerful words. My baby is going to college. But as Simone stepped onto campus, that feeling of excitement quickly turned into something else: loneliness, anxiety, and the uncertainty of navigating college without the structure that she'd come to depend on in high school. You see, according to a study done in 2022 by the Child and Adolescent Health Measurement Initiative, youth who come from lower-income families are significantly less likely to have a mentor. And neighborhood poverty has a strong negative correlation to their ability to access mentors. Simone was no exception to this rule. And there she sat, one semester into her college experience, a sub 1.0 GPA, staring at a letter that had just arrived from the college. It was an academic probation notice. crushed, Simone scheduled a meeting with her EOF advisor to inform him that she had come to a decision. The rigors of college were too much for her. She just wasn't meant to go to college, and that she was going to drop out. Simone didn't see it coming at the time, but her first mentor was about to make a dramatic entrance into her life, and just in the nick of time, too, before she made a decision she would regret for the rest of her life. After a long pause, Simone's advisor looked across the desk at her and asked her the question that she would never forget. What is your mother going to tell everybody now? You all remember that box of tissues I referenced earlier on? Well, that was the moment in the interview when Simone and I both reached for that box. See, Simone's life had changed that day. She'd walked into the meeting with her advisor in tears, thinking about who and what she was about to give up on. But now as she left that same meeting, she wasn't giving up at all. She was going to overcome this, and he was going to mentor her. Simone's new mentor helped her with study skills, supported her when she felt down, and introduced her to other on-campus resources. Simone's academics steadily improved, and then something funny happened junior year. Another envelope arrived from the college, and when she opened it, this time she didn't find an academic probation notice. It was a letter welcoming Simone to the dean's list. Back in my office, Simone and I took a deep breath and dried our eyes, and then she summed it up for me. She said, "My GPA is a story of perseverance through failure and a reminder of how a mentor changed my life." Simone also told me that she had started mentoring other students in that same EOF program. And I thought to myself, what if that advisor hadn't taken that meeting? What if he hadn't stepped up? What would have happened next? And where would Simone be now? Simone's story is a living example of the power of mentorship, not just for one individual, but for families, for communities, and for the future, but only if those mentors take action in time. Let's talk about what's really at stake here. According to the National Mentoring Partnership, students with a mentor are 55% more likely to attend college, 92% more likely to volunteer on a regular basis, and 75% more likely to hold leadership positions. This isn't just about individual achievement. This is a blueprint for community transformation. And yet mentorship is one of the lowest cost, highest return investments that we can make in human potential. But there's a problem. An estimated 16 million youth will reach adulthood without ever having had a mentor outside of their family. That's about 1 in every 3, and those numbers are worse in communities experiencing high levels of poverty. This gap, this mentoring gap, it's not just about academic performance, it's about lost potential. It's about lost income. It's about lost economic mobility. Do you remember when I told you earlier that Simone started mentoring other students in her program? Well, it turns out Simone was not alone. According to McCarthy Mentoring, 89% of individuals who receive mentorship say that they want to go on to mentor others. That is a 9-fold ripple effect. Let's think about this for a moment. This is you, and you look fantastic. If you mentor 10 other people over a period of time, 9 of them are going to want to go on to mentor others. And if each of those 9 people mentor 10 other individuals themselves, that's an additional 81 potential mentors. That means 90 potential new mentors, only 2 degrees of separation from your initial efforts. That's the power of mentorship. It's exponential. It's a force multiplier. But the longer it takes us to mentor someone, the longer it takes us to build that coalition of 90. When we mentor, especially across lines of difference, we help bridge gaps that policy alone can't fix. Mentorship becomes a kind of grassroots effort, a quiet but powerful resistance to inequality. Mentorship is social infrastructure. It's not charity, it's strategy. It's how we build leadership pipelines. It's how we close opportunity gaps. And it's how we invest in the people who will shape the future. If we care about equity, we must care about mentorship. If we care about economic mobility, we must care about mentorship. And if we care about our collective future, we must care about mentorship. Right now, some of you could be mentors but aren't. Maybe you're waiting to be asked. Maybe you're waiting for your schedule to free up. Or maybe you've convinced yourself that you're just not qualified. But here's the truth. Mentors are not superheroes. They're human beings who choose to care. If Simone's advisor had waited until he felt 100% ready, he may have been too late. Simone may never have gone back. One conversation can change a life, and one mentor can change generations. You don't need a fancy title. You don't have to have a perfect resume, and you don't have to have all the answers. You just need to show up. There are 3 ways you can start today. Number 1, say yes to the introduction. If somebody asks you, will you talk to this employee, meet with this intern, have coffee with my niece, find a way to say yes. Just one conversation can change somebody's trajectory. And if you see somebody struggling and in need of guidance, then make the introduction yourself. Number 2, mentor someone. Could be formally or informally, at work, school, or in your community. It could be somebody who doesn't look like you, with a different background, who has different lived experiences. But mentor somebody. And number 3, be mentored. There's nobody I've ever met who couldn't benefit not only from mentoring somebody else, but by being mentored themselves. And if you're not sure where to begin, get mentored on mentorship. Because society urgently needs mentors. And when you step up, you don't just affect one life. You start a chain reaction, a domino effect. You plant the seeds that become degrees, breakthroughs, and legacies. Right now, somebody out there is on the edge of failure, one conversation away from giving up on a dream. And you might be one conversation away from mentoring the next Simone. But you have to get to them in time. Thank you.